Everything you're suffering is almost at an end.
Welcome back, everyone. This will be my brand new Netflix Stranger Things Season 4 trailer. This is actually just for Part 1. If you guys didn't see the news, they broke the season into 2 parts, but Season 5 will be the final season, so Season 4 here is not going to be the end of the story. Everyone in the group going their separate ways after Season 3 cue up the journey, so I will talk about all the Easter eggs. There is a lot of Easter eggs, a lot of 80s nostalgia going on in the trailer, a lot of music, so we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. Real quick reminder, the first half of the episodes will start airing at the end of May, at the end of spring. In the last trailer that they released showing 11 over in California, it was labeled Hello California, but it was also her being hyped up to see him finally because they were getting ready for spring break. So part of the idea is that I think a lot of this is going down during spring break, like the war that they talk about, the war with the Upside Down, and the war with the Mind Flayer, who's kind of like their version of Freddy Krueger now. Big surprise too, Robert Englund himself is in Season 4 Part 1. I don't know if he's going to make it to Season 4 Part 2, so everybody pour one out for him just in case. The other big Easter egg too, because most of you know him as a version of Freddy Krueger from the Nightmare on Elm Street series. A lot of the trailer does have Nightmare on Elm Street vibes with them going to a different dimension, quote-unquote, like the Dream Warriors in the Freddy Krueger series, to fight a version of a villain before he takes over their dimension too, like Freddy Krueger was trying to do. But also Robert Englund in the trailer has his eyes taken out and sewed shut, because the whole idea in the Freddy Krueger Nightmare on Elm Street series is that nobody could fall asleep or Freddy Krueger would get you. I'm not exactly sure who he's supposed to be playing, so you can post all your theories about that. But he's just one of the other big 80s references because the Nightmare on Elm Street series was huge in the 80s. The other big thing too is that the music track that they use on this trailer is Journey's Separate Ways because the group has gone separate ways. They released 4 separate posters. They showed everybody in 4 different groups. Like 11 is in this hallway that looks kind of like the Hawkins laboratory, except a lot of the footage you see her in is in the desert over in California in this other government facility. There's footage of her going back with the Hawkins laboratory people like she's sad and Mike is watching her go away with these people. So it's possible that the short hair 11 scenes could be in present day, like they could shave her hair again and put her back in that gear that we saw her in during Season 1, but at least some of the season will be flashbacks to her in the laboratory during Season 1 doing all this stuff at the beginning of the story. But the actual trailer starts at the end of Season 3 showing you that broken reactor that the Russians tried to activate. The voiceover that says you've broken everything, your suffering is almost at an end, and then shows that creepy clock and the haunted house that we got footage of earlier. I'll talk about that too. The voiceover is coming from this brand new Freddy Krueger type of villain that they show you at the end of the trailer, who's basically telling them, the war is here, your time is at an end. But like I said, they're basically trying to give you a more humanoid villain for them to fight, and obviously that will carry over into Season 4 Part 2, and then whatever's happening during Season 5. But part of the idea during the Freddy Krueger series is that the children couldn't fully fight Freddy Krueger until, like the Dream Warriors for instance, killed him inside the dream dimension. There are a couple moments in the trailer that sort of hype up the group all heading into the Upside Down. They went their separate ways, talk about Journey references, then to come back together eventually inside the Upside Down fighting this war. Then the trailer shows Max at Billy's grave back in Hawkins, talking about everything that's happened since the time jump at end of Season 3, everything has gone bad. It also shows her floating in the sky later with the others that stayed in Hawkins, the new group that they're calling the Hellfire Club, so to speak. Most of you know the Hellfire Club because of all the X-Men references. It's a big group during the X-Men comics, they show them during the X-Men First Class movies. But the whole idea with the Dungeons & Dragons references through all the different seasons of Stranger Things is that all the challenges that they face during their Dungeons & Dragons games season to season are references to all the different villains that they fight from the Upside Down, including the Mind Flayer. So like the skull with the bolt of lightning and the wings through it is a reference to this new Freddy Krueger type of villain that they fight in the form of the Mind Flayer in this humanoid body and the bats themselves with the actual wings. I also wouldn't be totally surprised if he himself also sprouted wings, just because creations of the Upside Down have so many weird, crazy powers. There's also a couple flashes of red lightning inside the Upside Down when the bats first appear. All the kids are obviously way older now, like you look at them back during Season 1, they look like babies compared to how old they are now. Part of the idea with them filming Season 5 really soon after Season 4 is because the kids are getting so much older. Not that it's a huge problem, but it is incredibly noticeable. Like they're all now legit in high school or either getting ready to graduate. The older kids don't seem that much older now. Mike is wearing the Hellfire Club shirt with Dustin, and they're in the crowd watching Lucas play on the basketball team, getting all hyped up for him. So there is some regular stuff going on, but remember, this is all leading up to the events of spring break where things really tip off and the war, quote-unquote, begins with the Upside Down. I've already talked about all the references, the journey separate ways, referencing how the group split up, going their separate ways, also referencing Harbour over in Siberia, Russia. You'll learn a little bit of what's going on there. Max winds up finding the mystery clock embedded in the wall of their school back in Hawkins. It seems like there just wind up being a bunch of weak points in the different places where everyone is, leading to the dimension of the Upside Down so that they can all eventually reunite, even though all the different parts of the group are all over the world. And we see Mike with Will and his brother, so he might have just gone to visit 11 during their spring break. Like I said, Paul Reiser's Dr. Owen character comes back. He talks about how he basically sent them, or they're part of the group, to California to protect them. But the war that he's talking about is the war with the Upside Down, like things between our reality and the Upside Down are getting crazier. And eventually the Mind Flayer will be able to fully enter our dimension and take over. But the war, the conflict that he keeps talking about in the separate ways is also meant to be an Easter egg for the Cold War in real life that was happening during this part in history between the United States and the Soviet Union. Because remember, the Soviet Union didn't break up till the early 90s. 11 tries to tell him that her powers are gone, but we do see Max floating in the air above Billy's grave back in Hawkins, and there was this last trailer a little while ago all about 11's powers eventually coming back, so I think her powers being gone is more of a mental thing, and that will slowly work itself out through the course of Season 4, Part 1. Like I said, her going back with the Hawkins laboratory people, winding up in this other facility, seems like it'll be where she discovers that her powers are not totally gone. But for at least a little while, at least in the first couple of episodes or the first episode, she will think that her powers are still gone, like she'll think that she's a regular person now. Clearly, it's not going to end up that way, though. The whole thing with the haunted house is they actually released a trailer a little while ago. We keep seeing versions of it inside the Upside Down with the bats when they start to go crazy, but in the real world version of it in Hawkins, you see the Dungeons & Dragons group, Dusty and the others, go to investigate it. We got a much more extended scene of what happened at this house and why it is basically like their version of a haunted house, kind of like you see inside the Freddy Krueger Nightmare on Elm Street movies. Basically, a long time ago in the history of this area in Hawkins, a family moved in, and the father wound up going crazy and killing the entire family, and it turned into this big local legend haunted house kind of place. But because of all the creepy shots of the clock in the version in the Upside Down with this new Freddy Krueger looking version of the Mind Flayer in this humanoid body, this is clearly just going to be one of the weak points. Like you see Nancy and Steve reunite for the first time in a while. Remember, they used to go out at the very beginning of the series until, quote unquote, they went their separate ways, so make more journey references, saying see you on the other side, and then them fighting inside the Upside Down. The person playing the metal guitar on top of the house inside the Upside Down, even though it seems kind of ridiculous, is probably just doing that to create some noise to distract all the bats and the creatures inside the Upside Down that they're trying to fight. There's a really quick flash in a couple of what look like different entry points between different dimensions. Like you see a bunch of different points here that seem like the different groups heading into the Upside Down through different weak points with different numbers attached to each different place, which seem like they correspond to some of the creepy clocks that you see in the trailer. This one reads 146, the other is 33, then 52, and 230. We get a bunch more footage of Hopper fighting with the other prisoners against this white demogorgon that the Russians were keeping to eat other guards, eat other prisoners, just at whim. It seems like they were keeping it as a pet. It seems like he's trying to help orchestrate some sort of prison break in Siberia, Russia, but also it looks like Will's mother gets Murray's help in going to save him in Russia because you see them in this small plane with the snow all around them. But even though it seems like everything is going crazy and there's this brand new villain from the Upside Down or a brand new form of the Mind Flayer inside this humanoid body that they're getting ready to fight, it's just the first half of Season 4, and Season 4 itself, like even both parts, is not the final season. So if you spotted any big Easter eggs in the trailer that I didn't talk about in the video, just write them below in the comments and I'll try to address them. I've already done a bunch of videos for the other Stranger Things Season 4 trailers they've released, so I'll link those below in the description. My new Moon Knight Episode 3 video will post next, just like normal. That'll be Wednesday morning, so make sure you have alerts enabled for my channel so you don't miss anything. And we will see more Stranger Things Season 4 trailers as we get closer to the episodes actually dropping. Everyone click here for my brand new Moon Knight Episode 3 video, and click here for my brand new Doctor Strange 2 trailer video and Easter eggs. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.